I uploaded this video 3 months ago, and at the end of it, I showed some strong allegations that a large streamer was using one of these plugins to scam their viewers. They wanted to silence me, so they had their friend, posing as a fake talent agency, put a false copyright claim on the video. Today, that infraction has expired, so I've cut the copyrighted material from the video because I'm not letting this go unseen. Now, since I originally uploaded it, Jagex has actually imposed a 10 mil limit at the duel arena, but people are already using middlemen to get around this limit. On top of that, many gambling addicts are turning to the commission staking Discord servers mentioned in this video to get their fix. So this scam is a bigger risk than ever. Unfortunately, this video will likely suffer greatly because 50,000 of you have already seen it and will probably click off right away, killing the watch time. So if you could drop a like and a comment, that would do a lot to help this video get into the algorithm to warn the others who have not already seen it. Thank you guys, and without further ado, enjoy. Commission stakers and debt stakers, whether they're nefarious actors or not, are going to be very upset when they see this video and find out I've got access to their little scam plugin. That's because they're in a business built on trust, and while not all of them are scamming, they are all going to be affected by me exposing this because, well, as you'll come to see, you can't trust anyone, not even big streamers. You know, it's hard to tell which group is the worst offender, either commission stakers, which historically are the sketchiest, or debt streamers. The reason being is well-coded versions of these plugins, like the one I got my hands on, are impossible to spot. For example, gambling clans don't want this talked about. They know there's people in their clan who abuse it to profit billions of GP, but no matter how legitimate the gambling clan is, they have no way to tell which members are abusing it without a serious slip-up. Same goes for debt stakers. To give you an idea, one large streamer was accused last October of scamming his viewers with one, and the evidence is quite compelling. I'm gonna show you all of that. See, it works by masking the duel options. Check it out. It allows their co-conspirator to secretly enable rings and prayers, giving them a huge advantage in winning the stake, while to the viewers on Twitch, it appears they are disabled. Now, there's a whole bunch of nitty-gritty to go into that I learned from the person who coded this, but we've really got to understand how these communities operate first. Why are they live streaming on Twitch? What the heck is commission staking? So we're gonna dive into all of that. And if you guys appreciate me exposing these guys, a like on the video helps a lot, and also we're so close to 90,000 subscribers, thank you. On top of that, there's still time to get one of our beautiful, heavy, pressure-casted resin statues for yourself or a RuneScape player in your life. You can check our website. I literally have no bad reviews, besides 2 because the postman didn't deliver it, but I got that all worked out for them. So you can't go wrong, especially because you can use the code CHRISTMAS on checkout for a discount. All the details about that will be in the description below. So let me give you the background on commission staking, since this is really where it all begins. It's been going on since the inception of RuneScape, but it got really popular between 2013 and 2015 when Old School was first released. Typically, somebody live streaming, you know, to have social proof, would offer to stake for you, taking a fee, usually 5% of any winnings, hence the name commission. Of course, not many people were max combat back then, which gave them a bigger market. But more so, it actually wasn't against the rules. So just like the 2012 dicing days, all these commission staking clans cropped up and they ran rampant. It was literally the full gambit. The successful ones were advertising with spam bots in game, they ran popular Twitter accounts, they were live streaming, they were bribing content creators, you name it, there was shady deals going down left and right because these people were making big money. In fact, in 2015, ModMattK said
60% of the reward trading balance came from commission stakers when we first started looking at it.
And because of this, they decided to outright ban it.
Now, to make everything black and white, commission staking is against the rules, whether it is for money or not for money.
Now, this announcement, of course, didn't fix the problem. Instead, it pushed commission staking into RuneScape's black market. Instead of operating in-game and friends chats, it now takes place primarily in big RuneScape gambling Discord servers. They offer a slew of gambling options, but among them, you will still find that commission staking is very much alive and quite popular. I've joined as many as I could find, and they all operate in the same way. How it works is there's a host, that is someone who paid the Discord owners for a rank to be able to take commission stakes, and when a member wants to do a wager, an open host will PM them, letting them know where to meet in game to trade the gold. Then they'll actually start a YouTube or a Twitch live stream, and they post this publicly in the Discord chat for anybody to watch. This is how they hold themselves, quote, accountable to not scamming you. You can see they've even got to hide their RuneScape names in these live streams so they don't get banned, because of course it's against the rules. So I spent a few hours checking out these stakes, and they literally come in non-stop. These guys are making some serious money just off the commissions alone, but some of these stakes are quite big. We're talking hundreds of millions of GP, which is worth hundreds of real-life dollars on black markets. That's why their incentive to scam is so high. Now, there's a few reasons why these services are even still popular. Number one, the customers don't have a max account themselves, and so they can't stake at the duel arena. Number two, maybe they do have a max account, but they feel like they're unlucky. I guess that's quite common. And number three, the most ironic, commission stakers cover scams. For example, if they accidentally let somebody enable food and they lose because of it, they'll return your gold. Anyways, let's take a step back, because while commission staking was budding into everything I just told you, a new phenomenon was cropping up on Twitch known as debt staking. Essentially, these are people who stream gambling on RuneScape, some even manage to pull thousands of viewers, and they use their influence to garner loans from viewers to stake with the promise of paying it back once they eventually hit it big. Frequently, these people go into billions of GP worth of debt. So there's two things here. Number one, like commission staking, they get to gamble other people's money. And number two, there's no one to actually hold them accountable for paying it back. There's all sorts of scams that are possible with debt staking. For example, a common one, a lot of the time people get accused of just paying back their friends and nobody else. But I won't bore you with all of those in today's video, because this one is by far the biggest. So now that we understand the business, let's talk about how the scam actually works. So check it out, I've got both of my accounts up, and let's pretend that this one right here is the streamer. Everything in these duel options appears like it's a normal whip stake. Note specifically how both rings and prayers are disabled, while if we look at my other account, the opponent, we can see that rings and prayers are actually allowed. The plugin is hiding this fact from the streamer's point of view. See, the plugin's configuration allows these scammers to input their accomplice's username. This could be a friend or, like in this example, an alternate account. This is how the plugin knows to only do this overlay effect when the streamer is dueling their accomplice. Now, it even gets more complex once we click accept and get into the next screen. See, in this screen, we can check the opponent's inventory, and the plugin does something quite clever. It hides the fact that the opponent has a ring in their inventory. No ring here, but if we go over to my opponent, you can see I've actually got a Ring of Suffering in my inventory. This is done to kill all speculation from the viewers that the streamer might be using an overlay to secretly allow rings to be enabled. So anyways, we click accept, and now I'm in the stake. I can equip my Ring of Suffering, I can turn on the Thick Skin Prayer, and everyone on stream is none the wiser that my accomplice now has a massive advantage at winning the stake. So most of the time I lose and my accomplice gets the GP, and then later off stream he'll give me a share of the profit. The Ring of Suffering, and I know I said Thick Skin before, but also Steel Skin Prayer, are no accident, by the way. The coder of this plugin told me that they had to be very methodical in picking out what items to use as to not give away this scam. As we'll talk about shortly, streamers of days gone by have actually exposed themselves for not being so methodical. Anyways, there's a couple levels to this. For example, it has to be a ring, and it has to be prayers without overhead icons, as there's no way for other players to tell you're using these. Even the equipment inspector on RuneLite doesn't pick up on rings since they're not rendered by the game. But also, the actual ring and prayer used is important. The scammer can't use any rings that give a strength bonus. Same goes for prayers like Piety. This is because a whip on its own can only hit a 26, and anything that gives a strength bonus will increase that max hit. So if the accomplice started smacking 27s, well, the ruse would be up. So instead they choose things that give a defense bonus. Plus 20 for the Ring of Suffering imbued, and plus 15% for the Steel Skin Prayer. Combine this with the overlay plugin, and it's a very sneaky way which is not detectable on stream to viewers, to give odds to their accomplice. It's hard to calculate staking odds, but this gives the accomplice an estimated 60 to 70% chance of winning the stake when it really should be 50%. What it allows is for these people to scam billions of GP, which they then real-world trade for thousands of real-life dollars. It's hard to tell how much this is happening because it's completely undetectable on stream. There's only been 3 instances that I know of where streamers slipped up, and one of them isn't confirmed for sure, but the other 2 definitely are. We'll be talking about that shortly. Okay, so there's 3 streamers to cover here. The first was a big creator back in the day. You might remember him, Blocks. Well, in the early days of old school, he got into commission staking and eventually was banned for using an overlay. There was a YouTube video as evidence, but unfortunately it has since been removed. But what we still do have is the Reddit comment and ModMacK's reply confirming he has been banned because of it. So this happened way back in March 2015, before the days of RuneLite, and so plugins weren't possible yet. Instead, these scammers would use an overlay on Twitch. So that would have been their broadcasting software, OBS, or probably XSplit back in the day. For Blocks, he would use one to hide the fact that his accomplice had plate bodies enabled. Then he'd get into a stake, his accomplice would equip a Guthan's plate body, and Blocks would position his camera as far up as possible and use his mouse to cover the plate body on his accomplice's character. The problem is anyone watching the stake from in-game can see the plate body, and this is how he got exposed. The modern day plugins are kind of built in blood for this reason. They've taken into account these past mistakes that resulted in the streamer exposing themselves and made it no longer an issue. For example, this next one is why they don't secretly enable stat boost. The streamer pet_hunter was caught using an overlay when someone watching used the spell stat spy in game and could see that his combat stats had been drained to throw the stake. This meant that he drained his stats prior to entering the stake and secretly enabled no drinks to prevent them from being reset to 99. The developer of the plugin I got my hands on told me he actually considered doing this until he realized that stat spy was a thing. This is why it has to be rings and prayers. There's no way to tell. Now, the final streamer, who I wouldn't say slipped up, but there's been some strong allegations against him, and regardless of what conclusion you come out of this with, the developer of the plugin I got access to specifically implemented features to prevent this type of slip up in the future. So there's this big streamer, still a big streamer. I'm not going to mention their name and I'm not going to be showing their face because this isn't a hit piece, but this all came to light last October in a big Reddit thread. So on stream is the VOD in question. Well, actually it isn't, because this is the part I had to remove. I mean, I probably could have won that claim under fair use, but re-uploading it is just less hassle. I mean, I didn't even show this person's face to begin with. I blurred their name. Basically, the only thing from the VOD you could see was the game, so it didn't really add much to begin with. But if they claim this one too, even though I haven't used any of the footage, I'll actually go through that process and I'll do a video with nothing redacted for your enjoyment. So essentially there was a big Reddit post about this. Someone in their chat called them out for using an overlay, and when people looked into it, they noticed that the scroll bar wasn't the right size for whip settings. This meant that there was some extra stuff allowed, like rings and prayers, that a plugin was hiding. On top of that, the check mark next to the last load duel, confirming that the settings were the same as their last stake, wasn't checked, even though when viewers went back in the VOD, the last stake the streamer had done was actually a whip stake, so that checkmark definitely should have been there. And this led people on Reddit to the conclusion that this streamer had been using one of these plugins, albeit poorly made, to scam their viewers. As for the plugin I got my hands on, because of this, it implemented a spoof both for the scroll bar and the checkmark to prevent this kind of thing in the future. They call these modern day overlay plugins frame perfect. That is, there's not a single game frame where you can tell that it's being used. It makes the stake look absolutely perfect. Now, you might be wondering, since the staking limit has been imposed by Jagex, is this even still a thing that happens? Well, the whole duel arena has gone underground now into these commission staking discords, and now what we're also seeing is like middleman discord services open up. So the commission stakers have had wallet systems since before this limit was even imposed to get around the duel arena tax. Essentially how it works is you give your GP to one of the ranks in the server, they credit you that same amount of GP in their virtual wallet, and then you can wager that against other people. And when you do, one of the hosts will open up a live stream and just do an empty bet on RuneScape. They assign you a side, so like if the host wins, then player A gets the money. If the opponent wins, then player B gets the money. And so this is how they can get around the limit, and previously it's how they got around the tax. On top of that, we also see people going live on Twitch now and hosting middleman services. So two viewers, if they want to stake together, they trade the live streamer the money, and the live streamer goes and again does an empty stake and will give it to whoever is the winner in that situation. So you can see the opportunity is still ripe here for this type of scamming to take place. In fact, there's never been a better time because a ton of Duel Arena addicts have moved into these underground Discord servers that continue staking, and so they're at risk for this type of scam. Not to mention the whole wallet system is like not good at all. It's very common that you can't like withdraw your GP from that because they apparently never have the stock, and so you end up just gambling it instead of like withdrawing it. Not going to get into that in this video, but yeah, if you're still staking in underground Discord servers, be careful out there because this is a huge problem that you'll never even be able to spot is happening to you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.